Okay, now here's the IC. I find the personal stories in the IC, where someone's coming from, where the deep points are. They happen in your dreams, in your feelings, in your intuitions, and they work their way out into the world. But when you look back at a couple of years, you actually, wow, that, and you see it back after a number of years, you can really usually see your progressions clearly. It's harder to see the implications as you're going forward. You wonder about them because they're not about out of the world, they're about your inner connections and how your soul is connected to your body and how you're in this world and what's important, what affects you, what are you growing to, what are you taking in. So his ascendant starts in Capricorn. It hits his, so he's born, I'm sorry, I just got this, it was 61, yeah, okay. 61, and by 77/16, his IC is conjuncting Saturn. So at that point, he's feeling either work or parents or school. There was that IC is his motivation is being restricted. I'm hemmed in. I'm stuck here. This is what I want. There's a real Capricorn scenario here, an inhibition. But by 82, 61 to 82. So by 21, it conjuncts Jupiter and he starts seeing he wants to expand. It conjuncts Jupiter and squares the Sun and Mercury. So he starts thinking of new horizons. Then it moves into Aquarius, goes along, and his IC opposes Uranus in 2014. So it's a big shock and change in what motivates him by 2014. Need to change things. I got to live differently. That big shock would be there. Big change. But that's going on for 2 years. And, you know, you got 2 degrees, you got the IC moving around the whole time, couple times. But this is the main puzzle. That's just passed. And the next one is 2023, when it's going to hit Pluto. This is when you get planets conjunct in space, they affect people's progressions, and you see everybody getting these in some way or another for a long way. But here Pluto's is coming up to it because the conjunction was in 65, 66. But here it's hitting the opposition to Pluto in 2023. So when it hits the opposite, there'll be a confrontation, what he's motivated by or what's not, what's true or what's not. I mean, spirit's always spirit. The world is always worldly things. So there may be some confrontation in the world, but his personal, it's affecting him deeply. So they could say that's an initiation point. So certainly he's gone through changes. Now he might have to live up to it. Maybe he didn't act on them all that much. Maybe he's having to take a stance around it. But don't know. You can't know. You wonder, but you think about it, you wonder, and you look at your life and try and see it. Isn't it 2047? It hits Venus. He has Venus opposed Neptune. Well, it hits the moon opposed Venus. Excuse me, and his moon and Venus get hit in 2047. Then it hits his descendant in 2049. So you have to be in his late 70s, 61. No, late 80s, going into the late, more the 80s, 90s. Sorry, my mind's not working. I'm starting to fuzz out with the numbers. Okay. At the same time, there's a couple points hitting the IC. There's a couple points hitting the midheaven. You can see the changes. So if you don't see it on one side, you'll see it on the other side. But the midheaven, you're seeing what you're putting out. On the IC, it's working on this inner part of you, your inner confidence, your inner workings. So it's a special sensitive point. Okay, now we get to let's do this. And okay, was I the wrong one? I just move over here just in case we need it. On the sample 10. Okay, so his IC starts at 6 degrees Pisces in just now. Just next month, October 23rd. And it goes 6 degrees Pisces to 7 degrees Pisces over the year. So as it's going through that degree, it's bringing that degree's meaning and bringing that impression all around the chart and dumping a little bit of it's like a dog walking through the neighborhood and being in each yard. So each degree is there, a little energy of that IC is being put, that motivation is being put in every degree around the chart. And all that, putting that integration and going around the chart, that whole pattern is being accumulated inside that 1 degree from then on. So his progressed IC, his first point when it hits the moon is November 21st, just up ahead. It hits his descendant November 23rd. So there's 2 or 3 days, really powerful meditation days or sensitive days. Then it moves above the horizon, hits the midheaven on February 24th. So that's the next meditation day. Then it comes along, hits the ascendant on May 23rd. Next, but May 23rd, it conjuncts Venus and the midheaven. So there's a strong point there because it's the Venus, I think, maybe chanting or something, but it's just there's a need to, this is motivation, checking out his values and what he wants. And he, then it hits the sun on June 14th. That's the next meditation point. Hits the sun and Mercury. So that's a deep, impressionable point. Goes along, hits Neptune, Mars, but the deepest point when it hits its own point, the IC, that's on 2020, October 24th. That's when they align and it's just really there. And you have to do it to experience it. You can't think of it, what does this mean, what's it mean? You do it and you'll understand. You'll see it. Okay. The last ones, we're not doing the 361. We were just going to look at their progressed motivations with Donald Trump. Well, his identity comes along with his ascendant, comes along 92, it hits Neptune. So his identity gets his Neptune fantasy, expectation, dream, vision, comes in 1980. By 2007, it's conjuncting Jupiter, which is magnifying. Both of these are exaggerating and magnifying the self-identity. The descendant and relationships were being opposed by it, so there were more struggles around relationships, no conjunctions happening to the descendant. When we look at the IC and the motivation of Trump, you see Trump's motivation, his IC, it conjuncts the moon, but it has all these oppositions. So his midheaven career status has conjuncted all of his planets. So it really empowered his status, his doing things. He did everything for it. It really imposed, it put the emphasis on the midheaven going through. But the IC got the oppositions all the way along. So the motivation is weaker or more challenged. The inner motivation rather than the outer accomplishment. And when we go through this, I have the bios. I should pull them up where I have it. Sorry, I just try and pull them up here. I got them just so I can do this properly and a little more dramatically. This Russians, English. Not there. Where did I put it? Just give me one more second, a minute, and if I don't find it, I'll do without it. It should be. Yeah. Not there. Okay. Okay, I lost it. So I'm going to have to work without their histories. That's bugging me. Oh, maybe it's here. Nope. Okay. So, darn. Okay. Well, anyways, with That's really bugging me. Okay, so I can't find them. Okay, you'll have to follow through, but they are very, very active. This IC went along in 1971, it opposed Uranus, so that he was motivated to be different and to have a shocking change of things. And then it opposed by 75 June, it would have been opposing the sun. By 77, it's conjuncting the moon. So these are formative years where his motivation is changing, and it's where how he's living, what he's doing. His midheaven is pushing everything, but it's affecting or challenging his personal integrity or motivation within this. By 95, it's opposing Mercury and squaring Neptune. It's squaring Neptune and opposing. Here's Neptune and Mercury square. So his thinking, which is some degree, gets affected by this. So his motivation got affected by the Mercury Neptune, and his midheaven's working on it. His IC is not seeing the repercussions of it or what it means for him. So we're seeing someone is pushing things outwardly, but he's not, by observation, he's not in touch with it. He seems weak and his motivations are questionable. Look what he's doing. Where is he coming from? How could somebody do this? These questions come up around this. By 2011, his progressive IC was opposing Saturn. His midheaven was opposing Saturn. I'm accomplishing this, but his IC was not. And same thing, midheaven on the Venus in 2013. I think these are tied up to marriage commitments and kids. But the IC was opposing it, so there was an insecurity or a stress factor around that motivation. Certainly a strong influence, but the influence was working better for the midheaven than for the IC. Still, it's hard to measure that. He still goes through that. In 2028, it opposes Pluto. His IC opposes Pluto. What am I living for? What am I doing? What's my motive? What's happening? It's a more confrontational time. And had all these dates done, I just don't know where I'd put them in the midst of all the computer stuff, filing. Okay, so this just shows the midheaven moving along on the same dates, but conjuncting everything. So you can see the need to break through, to do things, to make things, have to accomplish things, to control things. That's all there. But the IC is the extra strength is going to the midheaven that's taking away a little bit from the IC and the personal motivation. What he's done outwardly and who he is inwardly, two different things. It's true for all of us. Okay, Carl, this is Carl Jung's. I gotta find these. Where else could I have it? Okay, I got one in here. Okay, I just gotta find Jung's stars. That's so weird.